And today we're going to deliberate on your vote, vote 8, on mobility for the upcoming financial year. And thereafter, the committee will sit in committee to deliberate further on the support or not support of the vote. And I'm also afford if there are any members of the public who are present here today, Johan, if they have any sort of questions they'd like to pose to yourself regarding the vote. So ask us to constitute the meeting. I'm going to ask the members to introduce themselves, and then I will hand over to the minister and your team to introduce themselves, and then we can take it from there. Please proceed.
Good afternoon, Chair. My name is Andrikus van der Westhuizen, and I'm a member of this committee.
Good afternoon, Chair. Good afternoon, members, Minister, and the department. My name is Mbulelo Isaac Solegu. I am still a member of the committee. Thank you.
And then we have a member online.
Chairperson, thank you very much. Good afternoon to you, Chairperson, the rest of the committee, and to the Minister and his delegation. And also thank you, Chairperson, for permitting me to join you online while the meeting was strictly in person. Thank you very much for your indulgence on that. My name is Lulama Mvimbi, member of the committee.
Thank you, Honorable Mbumbi. Thank you, colleagues, for the introduction. Honorable Mbumbi, can you hear me? I just wanted to ascertain whether you can hear me from...
I hear you loud and clear, Chairperson.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much. Not much further ado. I'm going to hand over to the Minister and to do the introductions. And thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ricardo Mackenzie, Provincial Minister of Mobility. I see Mr. Ahmad has taken a strategic flank position. He was clearly coached by Rassi Erasmus. he's got a very strategic position there in the middle. So I'll ask him to introduce himself and then the team introduce himself. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister and Mr. America, and to the members. Thank you very much for having us. Firstly, apologies for our HOD, Marissa Moore. She's on leave. I am acting HOD for the 2 weeks that she is on leave. I'm Yasir Ahmed, generally the Chief Director for GMT, as you know. And I'll ask the team to introduce themselves, starting with Antoni.
Good afternoon, all. My name is Antoni Jans van Rensburg, and I'm the GMT Director for Fleet Services.
Good afternoon, Chair and committee members. Farrell Payne, Acting Chief Director, Traffic Management.
Good afternoon, Chairperson and members. I'm Deirdre Ribbenow. I'm the Chief Director for Transport Operations.
Good afternoon. I'm Marianne Wiggle, the Director of Fleet Finance at GMT.
Good afternoon, Chair and members. Christian Krieger, Acting Deputy Director, Management Support Services, GMT.
Good afternoon, Reneel Davids, Management Accounting.
Good afternoon, Honourable Chairperson and Honourable Members. Francois de Wet, CFO for the department.
Good afternoon, Chair and the members. Phaka Mamdita, I'm the Deputy Director for Strategic Management.
Good afternoon, Chair, members and Minister. I'm Kenneth Boyson, Director for Strategic Management Support.
Thank you. And those at the back who are not close to a microphone. Thank you. And with us, we have also our procedural officer, Mr. Jan Kutia, and Mr. Pishim Mfundo Mshepu is providing administrative assistance to the committee. Having done all the introductions, thank you, Minister and colleagues. And Minister, I'm going to ask you just to lead us into the budget that we're going to present here today. And over to you for a few opening remarks.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. One of the team members did not introduce herself. Antosh?
Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, members, our acting HOD and our mobility team here today. Thank you for having us today, Chairperson. This is the first time we're presenting in this format. Certainly a pleasure to be here. This committee knows very well that mobility is at the center of enabling economic growth and job creation and ultimately a hopeful future. So our department and team have critical work to do, leveraging partnerships to develop safe, dignified, and fit-for-purpose transport services. This will help unleash the Western Cape's economic potential and provide transformative access opportunities for the people of our beautiful province. We are about to reach our first anniversary of the creation of the Mobility Department, and I'm proud to report on our progress. We have prioritized internal capacitation to achieve stability as quickly as possible. It has been a baptism of fire for our new HOD, which is on a well-deserved leave and presented here by Mr. Ahmed. It's also been a cornerstone in this department. Judging by the strategic planning session we recently had, the team is fully committed to growing and equipping themselves to deliver real impact and the vision of mobility, connecting goods, people, and institutions. Where are we going, Chairperson, for this year coming? 4 weeks ago, we launched our Getting You to Work program, the travel voucher enabling unemployed job seekers to get to interviews and access work opportunities. We are already seeing the transformative impact of this program, which we are running in partnership with the private sector. A week ago, I met Tyler, who used the voucher to attend the job interview in Salt River and is now successfully employed. I can't describe in words the joy of this young lady and her family. This mobility department really makes a big difference. I'm confident as we begin the new financial year, equipped with a 3 billion rand budget, we will see mobility making a difference, enabling jobs, safety, hope across our programs and our projects. In conclusion, I want to thank the team led by Ms. Marissa Moore in her absence and temporary by Mr. Ahmed, and for all the hard work they've done over the last year in getting us to this point, and looking forward to working with them, Touchwood, to ensure that we deliver mobility for this province. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Minister. So I'm going to hand over to you, acting HOD.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I think as is our custom, we have prepared just a summary of what is in the document, and the CFO, Mr. Francois de Wet, will take us through that, and then we'll go through the document and take questions thereafter.
Thank you, Mr. Ahmed.
Chairperson, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ahmed. For the first time, it's only 1 year, and we already hit the 3 billion rand budget. So that's a big milestone for us. I'm also very proud.
Sorry, Chair. Mr. De Wet is talking off his screen, but I think members have got the one pager. This is just a summary of what is in the budget, and he'll be speaking off this document.
So we as a department are very proud to say that 56.9% of provincial owned revenue is being generated by this department, and that is mostly through our motor vehicle licenses. That amounts to 2.2 billion rand. That is the estimate for this year, and there is no risk that we will not achieve that in the coming year. So that amount of money is then also divided between mobility and the Department of Infrastructure, and that is why we've got these beautiful roads, and we've got provincial inspectors that's 24/7 on the road, and you feel safe when you're on the road. So that is just from our side a contribution that we do, and the team that is administrating that revenue stream is doing a marvelous job. To come back to the expenditure budget, program 1 is 137.7 million rand. It's quite a steep increase from the previous year, but that is because that for the first time we're making provision for the full year. in the adjustments budget, we took money away from administration, give it back to infrastructure, who performed the management support function. And then, but for this year, we are full steam, and that's the budget for the administration part. Program 2 has 1.9 billion rand. Two big cost drivers there is the PTOC, and that is the money that we give to Golden Arrow, 1.23 billion rand. And then, of course, on our Go George, there's a transfer of 257 million rand, and that excludes the professional fees that we also contribute to that specific one. Then on Program 3, Transport Regulation, that is where the motor vehicle licenses are also being administered. A big cost driver there is 420 million rand. That is in terms of agency fees that we pay to the municipalities for collecting those motor vehicle license fees. And that is also a huge income stream for those municipalities and leading directly to job creation as well. And then the other one, the big one is Mr. Payne's provincial inspectors. And we are proud to announce also that we found the money to make provision for 120 new intakes that we had this year, and that was through prioritization throughout the budget. Everybody contributing because we didn't have an intake the previous year, and we had to make up also for all the inspectors that we lose going to the municipalities where there's better working or better remuneration and also working hours than we can afford. That's just in short on the the budget side. And then Program 2, Deidre will tell us what they are going to do with their money. That's part of this infographics. And then Farrell on the transport regulation. He will just talk through that. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Mr. DeWitt. We can appreciate with Deidre.
Chairperson, what I think the CFO was meaning was that he will take any questions.
Maybe you could just elaborate before we take any questions so that we could highlight certain aspects of the expenditure that may necessitate further inquiry.
Absolutely, Chairperson. Through you to the committee, I mean, I think the CFO and the ministers covered quite a bit, but with the PTOG taking close to 1.3 billion from the 1.9, that conveys 240,000 daily passengers through the Golden Arrow bus services contract daily. It is probably one of the more stable public transport services we have in the province at the moment. Scheduled on time is just over 90% in terms of service. The other big portion of the budget goes to Go George. It is now the top performing IPTN in the country. It on time is at 92%. We were very excited to roll out phase 4, one of the routes in phase 4, Tembeletu. It has, since its inception, doubled the amount of passengers that we were aiming to carry, so that was quite significant. At the same time, a month ago, as Minister mentioned, we launched the Growth for Jobs priority pilot, Getting You to Work. It's now been just over a month, and just by launching the service shows what we are able to do. We don't have to pay anything additional to Golden Arrow. We use the spare capacity that they have off peak. Our contribution was mainly just paying for the actual gold card, which was 35 Rand, plus an extra 10 Rand for any potential commuter through the registration process in terms of that project. And I think, we are working very closely with the City of Cape Town in terms of a project called Triella Smart. I think it would be wrong of me not to raise that. It's a collaboration between the city, province, as well as Sintaco. It's to improve the operational experience that a commuter finds itself, especially when it comes to the congested PTIs, chairperson, and it is to provide that dignified way of travel. It is to allow passengers to be able to also rate the service, participate in the service they're getting. We'll do that with a lot of the elements that we've used in the Blue Dot program. So we are learning from our experiences over the 18 months of that particular pilot. And if I go any further, my head won't be able to get out of the door, chairperson. So I think I've said enough.
Thank you, Mr. Vina. Mr. Payne?
Chair, thank you very much for the opportunity. Just in terms of from a traffic management perspective, we've been for the past 3 years trying to change the focus from primarily just looking at the traffic law enforcement activities. It's far broader. So what I will speak of now is the integrated approach from the Chief Directorate Traffic Management, which incorporates our Road Safety Management Directorate, but then also the training side of things, right? It's the cornerstone of what our officers actually achieve and keep them skilled at in terms of their day-to-day jobs as such. So we've got, and we're all aware that due to the rail this functionality of the rail system, we've seen this massive increase in terms of our freight operations. And in collaboration with Ms. Ribben's Chief Directorate, we've got regular discussions in terms of, how do we start gathering data in terms of the movement of all the trucks and things on our roads. Unfortunately, we've also seen a large amount of crashes with these trucks. And we've actually got to the root cause that these drivers are now being incentivized in terms of loads. So, where we normally promote the 200 kilometers per hour stopping period, I think these guys are actually pushing the limit, and they're actually falling asleep behind the wheel, which makes it extremely dangerous. I mean, just yesterday we had this big incident on the West Coast Road. Right, the details, unfortunately, we will never know the full details because one of the drivers unfortunately passed away, but it was a head-to-rear incident. So either it was a lapse of concentration or the person fell asleep. But we are extremely conscious of it, and we're looking to amplify, other than just the weighing of the vehicles, how do we deal with it more intensely from a road safety management perspective as well, by engaging with the various freight industries as well, which we've also started to develop a good sound relationship with. Another unfortunate scenario has been playing itself out, and we've seen this massive spike during the festive season with the amount of drinking and driving arrests that was conducted. So now, week on week, we're finding that we're actually arresting, just as provincial traffic, we're arresting probably an average of about 85 people per week for drinking and driving. What we've also, as part of our festive season feedback, we've also agreed that we'll have to perform a far more closer monitoring and evaluation role with our colleagues at POX. So all the cases that we've registered for drinking and driving, we're actually going to put it on a watch list now to determine exactly what the outcomes are. Because we already moved over the past years from just arresting people. We didn't really regulate it 4 years back, but we also need to see exactly what the prosecution rate is. Right, and if it's something that we need to deal with through the prosecutorial process, then we actually need to see how do we intervene. At this stage, we are blind. They don't easily share that information with you, and the only people that can possibly perform that oversight through the SAPS channels is our colleagues at Police Oversight. It's something that we will monitor very closely. So we again intend having 3,950 drinking and driving operations, and this excludes the normal day-to-day stop and checks where we actually also find motorists intoxicated. In terms of our vehicle stop, we're all aware of the amount of registered vehicles that increase year on year in the province, and that contributes to the MVL, the license collection fees within the province, but it excludes a lot of people with this immigration to the province in terms of roads. The utilization of our roads and the amount of vehicles that we need to deal with. So we will still stop more than 3/4 of our registered vehicle population within the province. which is it's a fairly high amount, right? But we've also built in new standards now in terms of our stopping approach, where, you know, if the person, and I'm not going to go through our handheld device, where we will start regulating to ensure that the officer just don't stop the vehicle for the sake of stopping and meeting the target of 1.7 million rand, but they actually perform the quality service that's needed to determine roadworthiness, either driver fitness or vehicle fitness. So by essence, the application will entail you stop a vehicle, you can't stop another, you can stop another vehicle if you stop it in less than 10 minutes, basically, which will allow you to do a full inspection of that vehicle. And it will change from the types of vehicles as well. For example, light motor vehicle will be categorized, motorcycle, you know, medium-sized truck, and then of course our articulated vehicles that takes much longer to inspect. So we're hoping with that improvement in our technology that we will actually improve the quality of the roadworthiness check, especially leading up to winter as well. You know, there was a tendency with the officers not to check, you know, if, you know, the lights during the course of the day. And then winter month come, you find a lot of people not even being aware that their lights are defective. So, yeah, that's one of the things that we will focus on. With our pedestrian operations, we are hoping to get to at least 50 registered pedestrian operations. That is one of our biggest concerns at the moment from a traffic management perspective. Pedestrians contribute about 80% of our fatalities on our road. And it's not getting any less. We're seeing a lot of movement on a day-to-day basis for people, you know, getting from point A to point B. And it is a difficult process to regulate and even to enforce. But we've got a plan of action that we will at one stage probably table as well, in terms of how do we deal with the pedestrians. Because of the 85% pedestrian fatalities that's recorded on our roads, almost 90% of it is in municipal areas. And it's something that we're going to address. I know between ourselves and the minister, there were certain resolutions taken, and we will still find the appropriate time when we can deal with that part of it as well. Our road safety education and awareness programs, if we analyze our stats at the moment for our pedestrians, the problem is not with children at primary school, right? So we need to start changing our focus. We're not saying that we're going to stop our education programs at school. That still needs to continue, right? But we need to become a bit more analytical in terms of, you know, where and what schools do we actually address in the new year. So, but the problem that we still experience is the ages between 20 and 30 years old in terms of pedestrians, right? And then more specifically, intoxicated pedestrians. So we're going to see how we can change that focus area to see how we can hit specific areas, where we can actually facilitate our programs in specific locations at specific times as well. Then something that I've stopped previously, 3-4 years ago, we used to have what is known as the Provincial Road Traffic Management Coordinating Committee. And the reason why that was stopped, other than COVID, that forum eventually became a very operational forum. And it didn't speak strategically in terms of what the objectives is from a national level into a provincial level, and then the coordination within the districts. It's something that we will be resurrecting in terms of our framework, and then also reporting back into the various structures so that we can elevate situations that we feel that need some urgent attention, either at provincial level or at the national level. That in short, Chair, thank you very much. That's just a brief in terms of where we're going to be spending our attention and our funds allocation.
Thank you, Mr. Payne. Ms. Ahmed?
Thank you very much, Chair. I just want to add one piece on what is under Program 3 on the infographic. And Chair, just apology for Ms. Bernie McMahon, who's our Acting Chief Director for Transport Regulation. She is at the hospital with her son. She did inform me. I failed to note that earlier on. So apology for Ms. McMahon. But on that point, that first bullet there under Program 3, the 274 compliance inspections for fraud detection and regulation of driving license testing centers, and also registering authorities. That, of course, is also a very critical function that our department plays to ensure that our roads are safe, by ensuring that the drivers are qualified, that the vehicles are roadworthy, and that the municipalities that perform the function of issuing the vehicle registration discs, that they are doing so optimally and serving the driving public optimally. And then, of course, just a few points on GMT. You do have the GMT APP. GMT's focus will be once again on the replacing of the vehicle fleet, ensuring that it is within its optimal life cycle, greening the fleet, moving Chair from electric vehicle strategy to a new energy vehicle strategy to incorporate also now hydrogen powered vehicles which are coming to the market. And also, I think importantly, cushioning the budget cuts for our client departments by keeping the daily tariff unchanged for the new year. We know that all departments are buckling under the pressure of the fiscal constraints. So GMT is trying to do its part in ensuring that services can still be delivered and that people are not having to cut down on kilometers too far. And then lastly, of course, we'll continue with our technology enhancements for our clients and for GMT, including for traffic, and especially also with ARTO coming into effect in this year, that GMT is properly geared up to redirect fines very, very quickly from GMT to the driver of the vehicle. And I think Member van der Westhuizen knows that orange tag, which is going to be key, that every driver is issued with an orange tag so that we know who's driving a vehicle at any given point in time, so that when a fine is issued, a camera fine specifically, that the driver is identified and that the fine reaches that driver, so that the driver can still get that 50% discount, Mr. Payne, that ARTO offers if payment is made within a specified time frame. So that's just very briefly on GMT, our top priorities. And then I'll hand back to the Chair, if it's okay with you. I'll hand back to the CFO just to take us through the allocations.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you, Mr. Ahmed. Just on economic classifications, we've dealt with the programs. The compensation of employees is a very contentious issue. There's quite an increase there, but that I must admit, it is based on the increase is based that we have a full year's COE for the full establishment, and we also identified some key positions that needs to be filled, for instance, 2 chief director positions that are still vacant. Then on goods and services, there's quite a decrease there from the adjusted budget, but in the adjustments budget we had some additional funding that we made available that came from the previous years, and we were also subject to quite a number of budget cuts, so we have ducked into there as well. And one of the big funding cost drivers there is the motor vehicle license fees, the agency fees. So that brings it up to about 900 million rand for the year. We on our IT systems, that is a priority for the department, for the province as a whole. It links to a number of departments where we could do contribute, and we in this round we want to maintain all our systems, and then we will prioritize some of the new developments, and there is additional funding already earmarked for that, but it will become available in the adjustments budget. So we are not stopping any projects there at this moment in time. Then with the transfers to the municipalities, our biggest transfer is the one to George Municipality, 257 million rand. We also transferred 10 million rand for Dial-a-Ride to the City of Cape Town. And then on the PTOC, we transfer that to public operations, that is your gaps, and also another 7.5 million in terms of our helping you to get to work program. Then we made provision for leave gratuities for staff members that will be leaving the department within the financial year, coming financial year, and that's a liability as per our financial statements. Machinery and equipment, 52 million. That's mostly in terms of our finance leases for the cars, and then our the development of software, 16.8 million rand for that. So the total budget of 3.069 million rand is then divided into the different economic classifications as such. Thank you, Chairperson. I don't know if you want to know where the monies, I've already indicated where the monies are going to. We also have funding that goes to other municipalities in terms of our integrated transport plans, where we will allocate money to Winelands and the Garden Route. And that is to assist them with the development of their plans linked to their IDPs and so on. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Mr. De Wet. Okay. Any other official would like to add a contribution? In the absence there. Okay. Just open up to members if they like to indicate whether they like to pose a question. I recognize Honourable van der Westhuizen. Ray, you may proceed.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Chair, can I assume that there will be multiple rounds and that I should rather restrict myself just to 3 questions per round? Good, thank you. Thank you. Can I just, in terms of we call the Blue Book, just a few questions. The first one, our understanding is that this is a relatively new department, that an organizational redesign process might be underway or might be required for a new department, particularly a department with a new vision and new responsibilities, where it seems to me you will be working more closely with PRASA and the rail, commuter services, where hopefully there will be a greater emphasis on engagement with the taxi industry and so on, and that mobility will have a slightly different focus from transport. So my question is, you are referring on page 344, the very last paragraph there, to the DPSA circular number 49 of last year as a directive on the implementation of control measures aimed at assisting executive authorities in managing fiscal sustainability during the process of creating and filling vacant posts in departments. Perhaps we're not privy to departmental circulars. If you could just tell us, how does that impact on the department? And I've also noted that a few of the officials here today have announced themselves as the acting this and the acting that. Obviously, this is not a long-term healthy position that we would like to see, and I hope we can agree on that one. Then the next one is on page 346, where you refer to the inefficiencies of the freight network. Now, it seems to me as if, and I happen to serve on the Standing Committee for Finance, Economic Opportunities and Tourism, as if that department is more astute at monitoring the work of the Cape Town port and how freight is moved to the port, etc., than the Department of Mobility. I would have thought that you're the department that should be focusing on the movement of goods, pedestrians, and so on. Yet they seem to be taking the lead in engaging with the port. Perhaps if you could just explain to us, how do you see your role in that regard? And then also, perhaps I can just on page 346, right in the middle of the page, I couldn't help but to note the privatization of the freight. I think that might be a spelling mistake, but I thought that was a very interesting term that I've never seen before. And then on page 350, under road crash fatalities, you say that one of the objectives is to reduce by 50% the road traffic deaths and injuries by 2030. Now, 2030 is no longer that far off, which means that we should be seeing the trend towards halving that figure already. And yet it doesn't seem to me, if I look at what, for example, this last Christmas season, the statistics, it is not my impression that we are moving in the right direction, leave alone fastly enough. So those three, please, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable, for the best session. And I recognize Honorable Mbumbi online.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
No,
Please
thank you very
proceed.
much, Chair. Now, on the first round, Chair, I will also try and follow the example of Honorable Van Stays and maybe ask only 3 and keep the others for the next round. Especially questions on the blue book, I would like to keep them for the next round. On the first round, I just want to ask general question based on the presentation that has been given and also the papers, the presentation that we have been sent, especially if you look on the 1-page flyer that we've been given, that talks to the allocation of funding. I think the majority of money goes to program 2. And that's the program, I think, when it was indicated that the presenter, the CFO said that in spite of the revenue that has been generated, there is still being divided between mobility and infrastructure. Might be good if we can just maybe expand on that. What does it mean that are we still funding some infrastructure department? I thought it is now a department on its own. It will be having its own funding opportunities. Maybe it will be good if the CFO can just expand more on that as to what was he actually meaning on that, about that. Then obviously the bulk of the funding for it's program 2 of 1.9 billion, and I think it was indicated of which 1.3 of that goes to Golden Arrow. And I just want to check whether is it the actual amount that is coming straight from national government, or is there any contribution that the provincial government is making on that, or is it all that 1.3 billion that goes to Golden Arrow? Is it the public transport operational grant that's coming straight from government, national government? Is it given as is, or is there any additionals that are coming from the department? Now, obviously, in there as well, somewhere it's indicated that there's this wording, this jobs for growth, that the minister has also even made an example of. Look, the little understanding, I think maybe this should have been worded the other way around, maybe growth for jobs. But if it's, because I believe growth should create jobs. The little bit I know of economics is that you grow your economy so that you can create jobs. I don't think you make jobs in order to grow the economy. I might be wrong, but that's just a matter of semantics. But the main question I just wanted to ask, the minister has just also commented on that and saying that he has already kind of implemented and made an example of a recipient of that who is already working in Salt River. I just want to check whether these vouchers, and especially in the department, is it only for people who are looking for jobs in the department of transport? Is it or is it for people who are looking for work in the provincial government, or is it for anyone who's actually looking for a job? So it might be good that if maybe the minister can just expand on that. I think I will leave the other questions for the next round.
Thank you, Honorable Mbambi. Honorable Sleka, I recognize you.
Thank you very much, Chair. No, Chair, mine it's very sweet and short. but it will be based on the opening remarks by the minister. One would acknowledge that next month, surely you are going to be celebrating your first year anniversary. And I'm going to take it back to my first question, where in terms of the transition. And I'm glad to hear words like internal capacitation. Then I would just want the minister to share with us as a committee whether, the dust has actually settled and, the morale within the department is at a level that no one is worried about their future. And, everything, those who did not accept the change has actually accepted the change, and then we can move. I just want to get a sense in terms of that. And secondly, in terms of what Francois has been saying, that the majority of money goes to compensation of staff, then I would want to know whether there has been any discussion with the Premier in terms of getting his concurrence in some of the positions that you would want to fill in the department. And then if there was, and which position are those? If not, which position have you not received any concurrence as per this particular department? And one has to be very, we need to acknowledge, and one has to, when initiative has been taken by a department, and one would want to congratulate the department and the minister for the initiative of getting you to work. And you are one minister that, use always on the social media. There is nothing that you can miss in terms of the initiatives that has been taken by the department. But being a rural person myself, Minister, I would want to know what are the plans going forward, to make sure that we also, from the rural areas, we are able to tap into these particular initiatives. And also, one would also want to link it to the initiative that was taken during the COVID, the Blue Dot initiative. It was a great initiative, and then it ended up dying. Is there any potential for this particular initiative also going the route of the Blue Dot initiative? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Suleka. Minister, I don't know how.
Thank you very much.
I'll
start in the DPSA question, and Mr. De Wet can take that one. With the additional one is also the funding question from Minister van der Westhuizen. Mr. Payne will speak to the traffic question, Mr. van der Westhuizen. And the golden era, 1.3 billion. Then Deirdre will speak to that. The grant, I'll speak to the rest. Okay. Can I just start with Mr. van der Westhuizen's question on the freight management? We actually had a meeting 3 weeks ago with a new CEO of Transnet, Michelle. She was not appointed then, she's now appointed. And with the new CEO of Transnet Freight Rail, Mr. Baakjes, he was appointed then, he's now appointed. And Mr. Baakjes was privileged enough, we were privileged enough to come and join us in George as well, to understand freight management. I think when people see freight management, they think it's the ports. It goes much further than the ports. It goes into the rail movement of goods, like you said, goes into the back of office, traffic management. It's a lot more encompasses than just the ports. Because of the situation of the ports, people just focus on that. But there's a lot of back of port operations that needs to be managed efficiently to ensure goods and services go out. And that is the role that we are playing. And we're working with some nice discussions with them. I know she's just been made permanent, so she's probably got the whole world to see. And economic development has been great. There's been great in forging that relationships over many years. But now that the mobility department is here, we're not taking over those relationships, but we are strengthening and enhancing and building on those relationships to ensure that we definitely do better on freight management. We've now also appointed a consultant. I think the process is undergoing to work with economic development and help them enhance what they've built. There's a massive opportunity to use established relationships and build on that. And that's why we've established a relationship with the new CEO of Transnet. She was with us a month before she was made permanent, and the new CEO of Transnet Freight Rail was with us on that as well. But freight management has different components. But because of what happened at the port, everybody's so focused, forgetting you need to deal with the problem, part of the problem, before it gets to the port. But we're certainly working with economic development on enhancing that freight relationship One of the other challenges in this is, as you know, that they report differently at national public enterprises. Then there's the Department of Transport. They have two different ministers. For us to get the meeting, for example, the Minister of Pravin Gordhan had to give his written approval, but that's another for the meeting to be gone. And that took 2.5 months. It's just structurally how they report in, where maritime management, transport management, that is under Minister of Transport, and rail under the Minister of Transport. So it's just different departments and how they're reporting into. But we're building on this relationship and strengthening them for us to play a bigger role. But there's an established relationship, and we're just building on that now. With regards to the DPSA circular, I said Mr. De Wet will speak to that. Mr. Payne will speak to the traffic. Mr. Mbimbi, the jobs voucher. I'm happy you like our jobs for growth strategy. The jobs voucher is certainly for anyone looking for a job. It's not necessarily in the Department of Transport. The particular lady, Tyler, she's working in the private sector at a call center in Salt River, a great success story. And just yesterday, 2 days ago, we heard that 5 of the 6 individuals that came to the launch of the project were also successfully employed. Absolutely incredible that such a simple matter of providing transport to individuals to get to interviews will enable them to get the job. That speaks volumes as to how this department is such an important department. With regards to the Premier question on jobs, yes, the Premier has been consulted, and the Premier has, and in fact, on one of the traffic ops, the Premier gave the approval and gave concurrence for the approval for the appointment of the 124 traffic ops that was approved. So when the DPSA circular you speak to, that you'll understand the link, because the DP, we have to get approval from the Premier to appoint certain posters to simplify that. With regards to the rural initiative, Honorable Seleko, getting the Golden Arrow bus services to Beaufort West and to that, I must be honest, is not on the cards for the immediate future. It's obviously something that we all would like to do. We'd love to get these opportunities out to everyone. But the pilot project was started just in the big metro because the infrastructure exists, Golden Arrow exists, the MTCs exist between 8 and 4, and that's where it started. Where is it going? Will it take the same route as Blue Dot, sorry. One hope that it doesn't. One hope that we can expand it. One hope that you can make sure that once it's successful, you can try find additional money in the program to expand it, obviously, if it works, because you want to enable job creation. You want to be able to get people to those interviews. So certainly looking for, with regards to Blue Dot, that program is consistently a great program, but funding for that program has just came to a stop 2 years ago, I think now, and there's no immediate funding available. When Mrs. Rabanaba spoke, she spoke about the Shala Smart model. So they are looking at other models, partnering with, for example, the City of Cape Town to see how the minibus taxi industry can be assisted and formalized. But Blue Dot at this point in time, given the severe financial constraints, is not coming back. So that is where we are. And with regards to the staffing matter and as people, I don't think people generally don't want change. I think people just, we are natural human beings. If you're used to drive on the left and suddenly you get told you must drive on the right, it's difficult to adjust to that. But I'm confident that the team that's here in the mobility structure, so the strategic session we had a few weeks ago, the appointment of some of the references that Honorable van der Westen made, making individuals permanent, has happened. One of them is starting in the next 2 weeks, Honorable van der Westen, and the other job was re-advertised because it was just not a suitable individual found. And sometimes you make appointments in a rush because you want to fill it, then you don't find the right person. You know, in government, it'll take you 20 years to replace that person if it's the wrong person. So that process is going again, and hopefully we'll find a person to appoint, and that will also deal with your acting question. But I think the staff has accepted, the department has moved, the department of the mobility department has been established. The first will be the first year of the establishment of the department. It's just now to ensure that everybody's on board with the new vision and where the department is going. As you can imagine, when there's any change, people generally don't like change, but that has been accepted. It's just how we build and ensure we motivate and ensure everybody's on board to share the vision for mobility. And I think I've covered my points, Chairperson. And then Deirdre, Golden Arrow, Mr. Betten, the Circular, and Mr. Ahmed, if you want to add.
Yeah, Deirdre can answer with regards to Golden Arrow and the PTOG.
Thank you, Chairperson. HOD Minister, through you. If I could just add on, our department's generally not good. We weren't good in terms of transport and public works and our mobility to brag. So yes, in terms of your question around freight, Minister was absolutely spot on that freight's more than the port. There is 7 initiatives, like key initiatives that's been run by this department, and all the work that any other organization does in the province is based on the freight demand model that we develop. So we know every commodity, where it originates from, where it's going, what is the best approach from a modality perspective, where it should be, what mode it should be moving on. We truck stop studies. So where are all the truck stops in the province and how that leads to some of the fatalities potentially. It's about the skills gap in the freight industry. So we've done that this year. So there's a lot that we've done outside of the port, but we have partnered, with, like Minister said, with DDAT on the port study and how we can assist in terms of that. Then from a PTOG perspective, Member Mavimbi asked if the close to 1.3 billion comes directly from national. Absolutely. That is solely the grant, conditional grant from National DOT. What we do is its own money that's used to monitor the grant, and something we're very proud of. We spend under 0.5% of the 1.3 billion to monitor it. By law, we must monitor every kilometer. So we get close to about 98% in terms of monitoring that grant and its performance.
Thank you. That's short and sweet. Before I ask the CFO, also on a question by Member Mvimbi, was with regards to growth for jobs, which is the correct term. It is growth for jobs, as he rightfully said it should be. Yeah, so I just wanted to rectify that. Thank you. CFO?
Yes, thank you, Acting HOD. Just on the circular from DPS 849, that was effective from the 1st after 17th of October. It was quite a big impact that it had on, I think, all the departments. Suddenly, all recruitment processes had to be stopped. Doesn't matter if you've already had interviews, you could not proceed, could not issue that letter. The province engaged with DPSA. We set the rules, and SOP was developed how we go through that, and we submitted our first application for the concurrence from the Premier in end of November, and early December we got that concurrence, and that also included the additional intake that we have. So the first approval or concurrence was for 178 positions that needed to be filled. The strict criteria that we had to apply, the impact of those filling of those positions on the budget over the MTEF, the impact on service delivery and efficiencies. The non-filling of those positions will lead to substantial losses, and also it could impact on the health or safety of people. So those vacancies that we had on PERSA, it was then all frozen like all others. It was not applicable on occupation-specific dispensation positions. That's your engineers and so on, except for legal services, lawyers and so on. They were also stopped, and we first had to get the Premier's concurrence. The process worked very well, but that didn't stop us when we submitted our application to the Premier not to proceed with processes parallel. So we are in the process of doing appointments at this moment in time. We submitted the second round, and that was also found very positive from the Premier's side. We have a little bit of a issue with the time that we lose somebody and that the post is funded on the numbers, but according to the rules and the circular, it's now suddenly unfunded. So, but we were dealing with that. There was only 2 positions that was not, the Premier didn't give his concurrence, but that was a bigger reorganization of and processes that they are implementing in the province, that they do further investigations, and that was the CFO position in our department and also the head of the CRU. But it's part of a bigger investigation on the administration of the Western Cape departments. Finance and supply chain were also very positively accepted. No other admin positions, normal admin positions like PAs and so on, but our work is very administrative from art, and that discussions we had, and that has been dealt with as such. So we've been very good in applying our criteria, and with the assessments, then we were allowed then to proceed with the filling of those positions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair, just on the question of the 50% target for reducing road fatalities, Mr. Payne.
Acting HOD, thank you very much. Mr. van der Westhuizen, I note your concern about our fatalities over the festive season, even though we look at it holistically for the 365 days. Again, over the festive season, you know, there was a high level of pedestrian fatalities compared to previous years. What we need to take note of is, as I mentioned, as part of our focus for this year is the establishment of the Provincial Road Traffic Management Coordinating Committees and the District Road Traffic Management Coordinating Committees, and that's the coordination between provincial and the municipalities within a particular district. So, you know, again, the metro will be the focus area because that's where the highest percentile is of our pedestrian fatalities, but it does not exclude even provincial traffic pedestrians on our national routes, even though, you know, we feel that that can be managed a bit better from a law enforcement perspective. The aim with the Provincial Road Traffic Management Coordinating Committee is to develop strategic frameworks that we can focus more specifically on road safety matters and try to shift the focus of our local authority traffic services to focus on the road safety itself instead of the generation of revenue. So it's something that's going to be work in progress. What we have also proactively done as a department, we in our final stages or the final draft of developing a non-motorized transport strategy. And that, of course, includes all the data that we have managed to collect, but not only just collect, but has been verified, because we can only work with clean data as such. So that data will allow us to do that analysis per local authority, per district, so that when we do speak at the strategic level, that committee can endorse what needs to be achieved tactically, but also then implement operationally. With that said, it's all good and well us having a framework document for non-motorized transport, but that same committee, which is the PRTMCC, if we operate at that strategic level that we're supposed to be operating at, will also be able to evaluate what is being done in that particular district, right? And then where we can assist. And normally when it comes to the local authority, provincial traffic's normal approach would be, yes, we will assist you, but we will perform a secondary function. We still got our own responsibility, which remains our primary function, but we normally go into local authorities with assistance. Same with taxis, situations with taxis. We intend to apply the same, but we need to go through the process of adopting the non-motorized transport strategy that will deal with our pedestrians. And if that's going to be, and that should be our primary focus, because we're showing good gains in terms of the reduction of fatalities when it comes to our drivers and our passengers. Right, it's the escalation comes in with pedestrians, so it goes without saying that that's going to be our focus area. I'm still, I would like to say, not foolishly confident, but I'm still convinced that we can achieve that reduction by 2030. Our provincial road stats in itself is not looking bad. As I say, we just need to consolidate whatever we do have, right, and communicate exactly what our concerns are for the rest of the province, which we are also still being held accountable for. So, as I said, I am still convinced that we can achieve that objective. And once again, from a national point of view, we're not in the worst state compared to other provinces. If you look at our programs that we do develop, we normally see good outcomes as well. Thank you, Chair.
Chair, if I may, just a few points to complement what the colleagues have said. Firstly, with regards to the split of the motor vehicle license fees between the Department of Infrastructure and our Department of Mobility, that's 555,000 to 894,555,000 to our department, Mobility. But that includes the agency fees, which we have to pay over to the municipalities, and then 1.321 billion to the Department of Infrastructure, and it is dedicated for roads, for the maintenance of the road infrastructure. So that is the split of the motor vehicle license fees between the two departments. And then secondly, with regards to freight, just to complement what Ms. Ribbenaar mentioned, we are also currently busy with the Provincial Land Transport Framework. Actually, I should be looking at Mr. Boyson here. The Provincial Land Transport Framework will also have a focus on freight specifically and within the broader land transport context. And that is the role that our department will play, community economic development will play, and of course the national functions like with Transnet and the Ports Authority. So the PLTF will also give us direction, and that project is due for completion within this year. Yeah, and then just the last point from our side. On the question of the structure of the department, as Member van der Westhuizen mentioned, that saying form follows function. Our department started what we call our journey towards a strategy for 2025 to 2030. We had our first engagement on that journey about 2 weeks ago. The strategy, the due date for the strategy to be submitted to yourselves, of course, is still far off. But we decided on this journey to allow us as a team, the new team in the new department, to develop the strategy from which we hope the structure will then also ensure that we are able to implement the strategy for this new department. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Ahmed. Thank you for the responses from the relevant officials and Minister. Round two, Honourable van der Westhuizen.
Yes, thank you, Chair. In terms of the income from motor vehicle licenses, and I hear what you say that this is not the full income, this is a split, the 894,000. Because I was interested in the almost in but seems to be form or your it's allocated. Just of the new costs and option, either doing it to the latest or to go. Responsibility to infrastructure. It's looking for the summary of 53, or even on other pages, the income of other departments for the service that they render. I missed it perhaps. If I was working with the previous, etc., would be able to point me to that. So that vehicles provided by GMT, and perhaps you can just assist us in the past on GMT tariff structures, etc., for e-vehicles. I don't know how far that process is or that debate has progressed. Public servants using own vehicles and that can claim back when it's a tell us what are your thinking, because I presume this money that we're budgeting or considering approving, should go towards the formulation of policies. Well, thank you very much, Chair. One else to appreciate the response. But look at how they can accommodate our rural areas, because one would, I don't know. That great within 30 days. It's a language that's been spoken in local government as well. But I know it does not happen. So just for the benefit of the committee, what is your percentage currently when it comes to the support of SMMEs? When the payment of thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Suleko. Honorable Bambi,
Thank you very much, President. Can you hear me?
please proceed.
Can you hear me? Because I sometimes break up. Can you hear me, Chairperson?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now, Chair. Can you hear me now? Chairperson? Can you hear me? Chairperson, can you hear me? Chairperson. Chairperson, can you hear me?
The renewal of the license, I'll speak to that. And the service that we on road safety, Mr.
The new registration, then with the renewals is 12%. Worked out 5% of the total income. So that is the that amounts to 4 million rand from the 5 million. It gives you 176 million. 5% is 440 million rand plus the 54 for the agency fees that we need to pay. Gives us the 894 million rand for the year. So it's 25% after the agency fees that we feel is the equitable distribution of it. Can I deal with the utilities as well? That's a very conservative figure, the 98%. Currently, we are at 99.83. Of the 8,350 payments into February, 14 over the 30 days. GMT, right? Okay, I don't know how they get it right, but they did 1,200 and they had no payments over 30 days. So maybe that's they have other account. Well done. It was every month. Another repeat. No.
Let me touch on Van der Westhuizen's second question with regards to the firstly, Member Van der Westhuizen, I'm glad that you cycle the registering authority in Stellenbosch. Stellenbosch, of course, is a cycling city, so I know you were very safe there to cycle. On that point, the question that you asked was whether we monitor the service levels of the agents, which are the municipalities. There is, we do have the inspectors that are deployed to go and inspect the so these is also tough as the inspectors that look at fraud and corruption. So there is definitely a need to look at the number of inspectors that we have, their specific functions to monitor service delivery to the public. What you've mentioned about long queues, that's certainly not what we want to do. Fee is meant to serve, to ensure that the municipality as an agent delivers the service at the quality that we expect. When we were still part of Transport and Public Works, the unit that then resorted under me initiated project with and say that is good delivery. There was thought for disagreement on the financial model that was affordable. Municipalities felt they needed more money. And then that project was put on hold with the National Department of Transport. In place generic service level standards for all registering authorities across the province. It is something that we now want to pick up. Going back to the report that was prepared by those two companies and take up for discussion with the municipality so that we ensure there is a level of service. The NATIS option, of course, is one that is meant to be very used to transacting with government even and with the private sector. You know, all your groceries online. That is the type of service that people now expect. And we must come in the project in place on service national, provincial, and local governments on their revenue stream that we want to do in a manner, but of course with the citizens firstly in mind to ensure that they have service delivered to the citizens. Don't have, but that on project holds. It's the good safety. That's the pain, the PRTMCC and the forts.
Yeah. Much. I think it should. Says Mr. Yasir is right in terms of engineering is one of the elements for the national road safety strategy. Right. What we've actually done was at our last strat plan, we had a colleague, I can't remember the name, that deals with spatial planning. Excuse me. to Tina, and she realized the importance of a critical function in spatial planning, which is linked to what Minister's speaking of. At this stage, due to the massive development in most of our areas, we will still remain reactive. But for any of transport going, for example, into the waterfront, if we adopt something similar to what they've got in London, right? You pay for tax. You pay so much tax. Just look at the future. But at this stage, it is and stakeholders, we still have that relationship. We have to just formalize it, going forward in terms of, and I think Minister, that there will be formal agreements between ourselves now and infrastructure compared to when we were in one department to deal with our challenges. It's the same as the replacement of the fence. Traffic management still plays a critical role. For example, if we do see breakages in fence, we know who to call, and the road maintenance crew and things, they're actually fairly responsive in terms of that to prevent animals. But unfortunately, this still happens. Even concrete fences and things get demolished. So it's something that we've got in hand, but it's something that we can possibly even work on, even, what transpires in the road reserves. So it's something that we're totally cognitive of, and that's why we had that representative at our strat plan to become inclusive in terms of spatial planning. Thank you.
Also has district represented each one of those district representative management provincial SAP, the district roads engineers. So you have this coordinated road safety member van der Westhuizen. If fence is broken, Sanadol is right there to ensure that that is addressed as a priority because of the road safety aspect. So just to add to what Mr. Payne has said. Rian?
Thank you, Mr. Ahmed. Chairperson, through you. The total revenue for GMT in 24-25 is 1.0 billion. What we are using is the funds accumulated by GMT. That's 600. During a stop. So possible tariff structure for the year to recoup that entire capital outflow over a single year. Trouble and we've covered the running costs in the world. In terms of next year, total kilometer tariff estimate 449 and the so those are balanced. Then on the daily tariffs, 478.4 million for recoupment of daily tariffs. And then we also use alternative revenue sources, for example, interest invest account 100.
online. Are you audible?
Chairperson.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, Chairperson.
I hear you. Can you proceed with the question, please?
No, thank you very much, Chairperson. My apologies with this line. My last question in the committee for the
Yes,
term.
please.
The issue of dwell a lot of the blue book now. Maybe before I go to the blue book, I think on the first on the one pager there is a caption or a heading that deals with subsidization. It says that there's about 1,961 public routes in the metro and about 20. Government can just give it. Is it this public routes only in the metro, or can we also get a breakdown of how are the other district percentage breakdown of the other district outside of the metro? Issue of formal, because I think also has got something that deals with to formalize and improve minibus taxis. It might be good maybe to the minister and the just let's say what does it mean? What is the plan of formalizing taxi? Because I now federal blue book one for you in about issues of impounding. Is this formalizing impounding? I know this is something that is also giving quite a lot of hardship to the taxi in actually very frustrating to them. Why was it really the plan of the taxi? Can you hear me now?
It's breaking up, so I don't know.
I can hear you now. I can hear you.
We can hear you now, but
yes, yeah.
Yeah,
the last
but
one,
you-
then before
you asked me a
yeah, the last one. I don't know whether you get the issue on the formalization and the improvement in minibus taxis.
partly, can you just repeat it then?
I was saying that the department says that part of its responsibility and goals is to formalize and improve the minibus taxis. Can the department just elaborate on that? How housing and improving the minibus taxi, because it seems to be very vague, and there seems to be, is there any money put aside for this program of formalizing and improving the minibus taxi? The last picture is on restoration and devolution. Now I see the department only mentioning
It's fading away. No. Okay. I'm
Can you hear me
gonna
now?
ask the department to we hear you now. Yes. Can
On
you
rail
continue?
restoration and devolution. I see the department is only mentioning the city of Cape Town and the provincial government, but I know the national government is actively involved in this thing, especially on the restoration of the central line. Can maybe the department maybe elaborate more on the involvement of the national government on this and the relocation of some of the communities that were on the central line? How far is that project? If the department can elaborate for us on that. Thank you very much.
Colonel B, and then Simon, the first question, did you get that one?
Side of the metro, I'll ask Ms. Ribbenaar to
Thank you.
respond to that. And in the plan to formalize the minibus taxi industry, as of also be and city to charge the vehicles. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ahmed. I was informed that there are no members of the public who are present in our meeting, and neither are there any members of the public online who would like to pose any questions. And therefore, we have exhausted all the questions that the members would have liked to ask the department. One more opportunity, members. Arun Vambi, one more opportunity.
For asking question, Chair.
Just one
question.
last question, if you wish to.
Not for today. Thank you very much for your generosity.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, all good. From our side, Minister, thank you so much, and I'm going to ask you to make a few closing remarks, and then we can excuse.
Yes, no, I want to say thank you to the standing committee and the team of the mobility on our first time on vote 8 for 2024-2025 for our budget. And thank you for the engaging questions. And we have lots to do to fix our public transport in the Western Cape: trains, freight, minibus taxis, Uber, e-hailing, traffic management, coming in and out of town. But we can only do it with a well-established team. I'm very privileged that I've got a great group of professionals. That we just, as the HOD always say, we shouldn't be a adjustment budget department, must be fully funded department to fulfill our duties. And I think we're on the way there. Unfortunately, the last budget cut, like many other departments in the country, has been hit hard, and hopefully it won't get worse over the next year or two, because that will definitely enable us to take mobility to the next level. So I want to thank the team that are here, and to those that are not here, to say thank you very much for being the step, because you need a good step, a good foundation to step up. Otherwise, if you're going to stand on quicksand, dan gaan jy baie gou sink. So thank you very much to the team that are here and everyone at the office for helping us to get here, and hopefully we'll take mobility much further than it can go. So thank you, Chairperson and the team and your members. We'll see you the next round.
Thank you, Minister. And from our side, I'd like to thank the HUD in her absence for her contribution towards the compilation of the budget, and also to the senior management team who's here present today. And we're very convinced, and you would have liked more money, but certainly you simply just have to make do with what we allocated to us. And from our side, may you find joy in spending this money and achieving the objectives that you have set up for yourselves in the annual performance plans. Colleagues and ladies and gentlemen, there are refreshments outside. You're welcome to help yourself with those refreshments while we stay behind and do other matters that we like to do. Thank you so much, and stay home. Thank you, colleagues, for staying in the meeting. Just two administrative matters that we're going to be dealing with. We've had deliberations on vote 8. Can I get an indication whether we support or don't support the vote? I recognize Honourable Van der Westhuizen.
Thank you, Chair. Having deliberated on this vote, I want to propose that we adopt or support the vote and that we indicate in our report such. Thank you.
Westhuizen, Honourable Seleku.
Second that, Chair.
Thank you, sir. Wimby, I recognize you.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. As you might know, you all know, this is the last meeting of our term in this form. I would have loved that maybe in finishing our term we're going to be unanimous. But unfortunately, in view of the presentation that has been presented in front of us, and also the lack of funding for the subsidization of the taxi industry in this, I would really would like to use Rule 90 of the rules of order and have my minority vote recorded against this budget. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honourable Wimby. Colleagues, so I have a report that was now given the expression of support is the majority view of this committee, and then there's one express a contrary view, and I'm going to read the report into the record, and then I'll ask if we support the report. And it goes like this. Report of the Standing Committee on Mobility on Vote 8, Mobility, in the schedule to the Western Cape Appropriation Bill, B1/2024, dated 13 March 2024, as follows. The Standing Committee on Mobility, having considered the subject of Vote 8 Mobility in the schedule to the Western Cape Appropriation Bill, referred to the committee in accordance with Standing Rule 188, reports that it supports the vote. In accordance with Standing Rule 90, the African National Congress expressed its minority view that it does not support the vote. Is that the correct sort of expression of the
Yes, Chairperson.
Indeed, Chair, I also would like to propose that we then adopt the report.
Is there a proposal that we adopt the report? And there's a second. Thank you, Honourable Seleku.
Second.
Thank you, Honourable Wimby. Okay, colleagues. Now, are there any resolutions that we're going to adopt those minutes and the quarterly report? Okay, then the third item on the agenda is the sets of minutes of the 4th of December, 5th of March, 11th of March. Those minutes were circulated. And then we also have third quarterly report from October to December. Okay, I'm going to put the minutes for adoption in its totality. It was circulated. Any omissions or additions to the minutes that need to be effected? You check your attendance with all of that, colleagues. I'm going to have a second to accept those minutes and nominee is Honourable Seleku. Move that we adopt the minutes. Second, thank you.
I will support.
Okay, thank you, Honourable Van der Westhuizen. Maybe so we're going to move on to the third quarterly report. Let's check your attendance very quickly. They're all there, it's correct. I have a mover that we adopt the third quarterly report. Thank you, Honourable Van der Westhuizen. Thank you, Honourable Van der Wimby. Proposed and seconded by Honourable Van der Westhuizen. Thank you. And then lastly, colleagues, are there any resolutions that you'd like to put on record in relation to today's vote?
Chair, before we get to resolutions, may I just ask, where are we in terms of the negotiating mandates and so on, and what can we expect? Is this committee going to meet again before the end of this term
Yeah.
to finalize or to discuss the final mandate?
Chairperson, yeah, I was going to raise it quickly just now. The negotiating mandate on the Transport Appeals Tribunal is being dealt with now while we're having our meeting. So we should get minutes maybe hopefully by Friday or next week early. Then we will have to consider a final mandate report on that bill. The railway safety is only scheduled to be considered on the 27th of March. So that means we might only get in April somewhere, get the minutes and then adopt the final mandate. So the committee will still have one more or maybe two more meetings that can be virtual, and it will only be to adopt the final mandate. Then, Chair,
One more report is the final quarterly report.
Yes, Chair, because that's what I want to raise with the committee, that we will then still need to adopt the fourth quarter report for the committee as well as the annual activities report. But that we can do in terms of Rule 82.4, where we can circulate it to members and with your approval then can sign off on the report. Alternatively, we'll have to arrange a meeting, but then it's another set of minutes that we need to adopt. And arrange a meeting, another set of minutes we need to adopt. Stop. Yeah. So, but in terms of Rule 82.4, we can then do a round robin by email, and then Chair can sign off if everybody is happy.
Is that no other colleagues?
Order, Chair.
Yes, Chair. Unfortunately, at the end of a term, sometimes one must do interesting things to make things work. We can even have the minutes of the meeting that is to be held already being drafted, and we can then just approve them and say they are correct.
Thank you.
So before we leave, we've got the minutes and
it's all signed.
we've approved them.
Yeah, for sure. Any resolutions, colleagues? Right, no resolutions. I don't remember any resolutions.
No, nothing from my side, Chairperson.
Thank you so much. And from our side, I'd like to thank you not only for this meeting, but also all the other meetings that you have provided. Tremendous support to me in fulfilling the responsibilities that I needed to fulfill. So with that, from the bottom of my heart, I would like to thank Johan and Mfundu, and of course my dear colleagues here in the committee for their sort of tremendous contribution in getting the work done. I remember it's a pity that you're not here now. We're going to refreshments outside the committee room. So yours
eat
is
on
on
my
the passage
behalf.
to the
Enjoy
kitchen.
on my behalf,
Okay, will do.
Chairperson. I
Thank
trust you in that regard.
With that, congratulations also on the replacing of, and you will be back next year. The two of us will not be back. So thank you so much and have a lovely evening further.
Thank you,
This
Chairperson.
meeting is adjourned. Thank you.